Apple's 2025 lineup of watches and watch bands are here, and with so many options, starting from the cheapest through to the most expensive. And in this video, I want to help you decide which is the best one for you to buy right now, depending on your budget and the features that you want, including how long each watch lasts on LTE, which watch bands are best for different needs, which is best to buy for your kids. I have literally tested all of them. And unless you want to be caught out by Apple's sneaky secret but if marketing technique, or want to spend hundreds more than you need to, hold tight and let me explain. Now, to get started, let's just run through which watches are currently available from Apple's website, from SEs through to the Ultras. We've got the Apple Watch SE starting from just $249, which didn't get an update this year. It's the same watch as last year's Apple Watch SE. This is Apple's cheapest watch, which is available in 3 different colors, 2 different sizes, and with or without LTE connectivity. Now, next is the brand new for this year, Apple Watch Series 10, starting from $399, available in 2 different materials, 6 different colors, 2 different sizes, with or without LTE, and of course a bunch of watch strap options. And then we have the Apple Watch Ultra 2 at $799, just one size, but now in 2 different finishes, which both include LTE as standard on them. Then we have like 2 of these extra watches. First, we got the Apple Watch Hermès, however you pronounce it, edition, for the Series 10 at a whopping £1,249 in 1 finish, 2 sizes, 5 watch straps in 9 different colors. And then finally, the Apple Watch Hermès Ultra 2 edition at an even more whopping $1,399 in 1 size, 1 finish, and 1 strap. So there are a lot of options to get through. And that is not including the wide range of watch bands that are available, which I'll also be running through to help you find the best band for your particular need, as well as share some of my favorite third-party watch bands that are well worth considering. And also, not forgetting to mention that you can still likely find old watches like the Series 9, even right down to the Series 7 at places like Amazon and even Apple's own certified refurbished store. If you go to Apple's website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is a tiny link for where it says refurbished. And that is where you can find refurbished watches right down to like a Series 7 at time of shooting this video at a pretty decent discount. Plus you get full Apple warranty with them too. So if you don't want to spend a whole load of cash on a brand new model, it's well worth checking those out as well. So first up, there is the budget option. Now this is the one where people just want an Apple Watch on their wrist for the cheapest price possible. And for most people this year, I think it's going to be the Apple Watch Series 10. For the Series 10, you do go from a 1000 nit display to a 2000 nit always on display, which is probably one of the things that's worth thinking about if you don't live in the UK and actually see the sun for more than a couple of weeks a year. The extra brightness really does help. And also being always on will avoid you having to, awkwardly like tap your wrist or like raise it to kind of wake it up, which is very useful and kind of feels awkward when you're, in a meeting or in class to, do that or do that to get it to work. Now, the displays themselves are also 2mm bigger on the smaller size of the Series 10. There's also faster performance going from the S8 chip to the S10 chip, the ECG app to measure your heart rates. Now this year, the Series 10 also has detection for sleep apnea. You get a depth gauge up to 6 meters and a water temperature sensor. You get a double tap gesture, which not a huge feature in my opinion. Faster charging, however, with Apple's new 0 to 80% in just 30 minutes when using the official Apple charger. Now this one comes in handy for those who do want to wear a watch like 24/7, and you can just throw it on a charger whilst in the shower or something to quickly top up the watch's battery. Precision finding also for iPhone, which works kind of like an AirTag by letting you know how far away you are from your phone. Again, not something I've really ever needed. I just find the standard like Find My iPhone where it plays a sound on your phone is plenty good enough. Now, if you're into your health and fitness tracking, you do get blood oxygen unless you are in the US where there is currently a lawsuit. So that feature's disabled for now. But you do also get ECG readings. Now, personally, again, I've never really used those a whole lot, even on the Ultra. But if you are keen to track, what those are, then that might be a reason to upgrade to the Series 10. Now, the Series 10 also has a temperature sensor, which can track your skin's temperature. Now, this one I do actually really like. Like if you ever feel like you're coming down with something, you can check your body temperature to see if it's higher than normal. And I've actually used this on the phone to the doctors a few times to diagnose if I'm actually coming down with a virus or something, because you can see if your skin's temperature is higher than it normally would be. Also, there's some faster on-device Siri commands, and the SE comes with 32 gig of internal storage, whereas the Series 10 has 64 gig, so double the space, so more space to download music locally if you want to, if you want to stream it and you want to go for a run or what have you. But there are a lot of similarities. With both of these watches, you get sleep tracking, fall and crash detection, water resistance, the same battery life, GPS, compass, Apple Pay, maps, offline maps, like all of the good stuff is still there on both of these watches. Now, it really feels like, to me, that the SE is either for those who, like I said, just want the cheapest Apple Watch possible, but it also makes for a great purchase for someone's first watch, and also really useful if you want to maybe buy one for your child where they can be contactable and trackable when they go to school, but without giving them a full-on phone. Speaking of which, the LTE version of the Apple Watch SE lasts around 12 hours on pure data connectivity, which is actually the same as the Series 10 Apple Watch. Now, I was genuinely quite impressed with this. Like, I remember back in the days of the Series 5 Apple Watch, where it would barely get through like 4 hours on pure LTE. 12 hours is a solid amount to get you through like a full day at work or school. And that was with me purely connected to LTE. Like generally usage, you're going to be connected to Wi-Fi or via Bluetooth via your phone. So of course the battery life gets even better. But with that said, both the SE and the Series 10 are still watches you'd have to charge every single day. Now for me, the reasons to upgrade would be the brighter and always on display, temperature sensor, perhaps the blood oxygen and ECG if you care for those, and maybe the faster on-device Siri processing. The only other reason that you might want to upgrade that kind of forces you to upgrade, which might sound silly, is if you want a specific finish or a specific color. Now the SE only comes in 3 colors, which is Midnight, Starlight, and Silver. So this is the Midnight color, but the Series 10 comes in 2 finishes and 6 colors. So you've got aluminium or aluminum, depending on where you're from. This is aluminium in silver, gold, and this is the black model. Both of them have the option of either GPS or GPS and cellular, or with the Series 10, you can upgrade to titanium in either a natural, gold, or slate colors. But by doing that upgrade, this includes the GPS and cellular. There's no like non-cellular option here. So once you've decided based on the features, whether it's the SE or the Series 10, there are 2 more decisions still to make. Now, size is relatively straightforward here. You pay more money, you get a bigger screen. But I've personally always gone for the bigger watch. Like, it's definitely a trend I've seen going with guys going for the bigger watches and ladies going for the smaller watches. But this year I did actually buy the smaller Series 10 as well as the Ultra because, well, I buy them for work and I make videos about them. But if I wasn't wearing an Apple Watch Ultra most days, I would definitely be wearing the smaller Series 10 LTE version because it's smaller, it's lighter, it's more comfortable to sleep with, and of course, it's more affordable than the Apple Watch Ultra. I'm not planning on reading essays on my watch, so I don't just really need a bigger screen. I just need to know, why my phone pinged and whether I need to do something about it. Now, the second question was LTE or no LTE. Now, having LTE on your watch means you can leave your phone at home, but you can still call, text, get notifications. You can still stream music directly from your watch to Bluetooth headphones. So, if you do a lot of outdoor running, you can run with just your watch and a pair of Bluetooth headphones for a really great experience. Again, you get more storage space on the Series 10 and of course on the Ultra as well to download those songs locally, so it doesn't need to chew into your battery by streaming the songs rather than downloading them before your run. So this year, I actually bought all of the watches, the Ultra 2, the SE, the Series 10, and set up my eSIM data plan on each of them because, well, I have 2 phones and 2 watches and 2 data plans because just YouTube. And I tested them side by side, one watch paired to one phone, one watch paired to another phone. But I then disabled Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and just went about my usual day. So doing this, both of the watches would connect to LTE when they could, and any black spots I was in with no reception would also then affect both watches to get a fair kind of assessment. And like I said, both the Series 10 and the SE lasted for 12 hours, but the Apple Watch Ultra 2 lasted for slightly longer than that, around 18 hours. Now, of course, this was a fairly extreme test as you're likely to have your watch connected to your phone via Bluetooth and, on Wi-Fi when you're at home. But what that does mean is that you can quite comfortably go for a swim or a run and leave your phone at home or in a locker and still be able to reply to text without a phone and use basically all of the features of the Apple Watch as if you still had a phone on you. So yeah, very, very impressed with the LTE performance this year across, well, all of the watches. Now, before I talk about the biggest but if problem with buying an Apple Watch, as well as tell you how you can get an Apple Watch for practically free, I want to thank the sponsor of this portion of the video, BAMWork. Now, we actually worked with them last year and tried out their incredible, and I mean incredible range of handcrafted, hand-packaged watch straps. They also do phone cases and other Apple accessories. But with the launch of the iPhone 16, they have a whole range of cases, with my favorite, of course, being the shocking orange color because, well, just orange. Now, aside from the cool colors, I love the materials they use, particularly their range of leather cases. It just feels like such a premium quality product. And what with it being leather, should age really, really nicely over time, like showing wear and tear like other leather products should. Now, I actually have some of their watch bands from maybe it was more than a year ago now, actually, from last year, I think, which I'll show you a little bit more later in this video so you can see a bit more about how they age and what wear and tear looks like after a while. And aside from all the, the usual protection you get a raised edge to protect the screen. Of course, protection all around the edges to protect the edges. There's a cutout for the camera control button, but there's also a raised area around the cameras, which provides a much needed protection against, causing damage to those rear 3 camera lenses on your phone. Now, they're also 100% waterproof and add probably the most needed thing of all onto any iPhone, which is grip, because all of these iPhones are pretty slippery without a case. And if you need to accessorize your other Apple products, they also make, like I said, watch straps, AirTag holders, AirPods cases, wallets, even a Vision Pro headband as well. So if you want to get 20% off of anything you see here, then check out them using the link down below. And once again, huge thank you to Bandwork for sponsoring this portion of the video. And I guess there is a third choice to make as to whether you want to pay the extra for Apple Care 2 on your watch. And this will depend on your use. Now, if you work in environments where you are, likely to damage your watch, then it can be well worth it. But generally, I wouldn't recommend Apple Care unless you're going for, one of the more expensive options like the Ultra. But, there's lots of buts in this video.
That's what she said.
With all of that said, if you don't need those upgrades, then the Apple Watch SE is still a stunning watch. Like basically all of the same features at the most affordable price ever. And like I said, if you keep an eye on places like Amazon or even Apple's own refurbished section, you may even be able to pick up an SE at a discount. But also, you need to pay careful attention to the price here, because the challenge that every one of us here faces, anything with Apple, this always applies, is those two words, but and if. There's the but again. But if I get the SE, I may as well get the Series 10 because I want more storage and the always on display. But if I get the Series 10, I need the bigger screen, so I'll get the bigger screen. And actually I like the titanium finish, so let's get that. Oh, but that's only 50 bucks off of a Ultra 2, so let's just get the Ultra 2. And all of a sudden, you've gone from paying like $249 to $799 just because of a few but ifs. So my advice here would be to set your budget first and first decide if you need LTE or not, then decide on the features you want, which kind of tells you if it's an SE or a Series 10 or an Ultra, and only then upgrade the size, only then if that's in your budget. Otherwise, you will find yourself spending like twice the amount, maybe even more than the amount you originally planned to do. Now, before talking about the best premium Apple Watch, if you're not from the UK, this is gonna absolutely blow your minds. And if you are in the UK, there is basically a way you can get a free, almost free, Apple Watch Series 10 through Vitality, which is like a health insurance policy here in the UK. This isn't sponsored, but this always goes down really well in these videos. Now, I've had for my Vitality policy for the last 10 years or so. And as long as I do a certain number of steps every day or a 30-minute workout, then I can get an Apple Watch Series 10 for £40 or so. But not just that, they also give me a free coffee every week. Great if I drank coffee. But you get free cinema tickets, 40% discount on food shopping, 40% off of Garmin devices, 36% off of Fitbit devices, 50% off of gym memberships, 50% off of trainers, 75% off of spa days, which all of that added up is just insane. And each month the discounts are worth far more than the cost of the insurance policy, which, wait for it, I think is about £50 a month for health insurance. So yeah, I do have an affiliate link because I'm with Vitality, and that also gets you £100 cash back when you sign up, so I'll leave that down below. And to most people watching, that I'm just sure has blown your mind that I'm paying £50 a month for health insurance. But if you are not on a budget and you're looking for a premium watch, there are, I would say, two options. And I say two options because Hermès, however you call it, who is going to spend £1,300 on a watch that will devalue faster than my commitment to a diet after seeing chocolate cake? It's just when Apple first launched their Apple Watch, there was a $10,000 version of it, gold version, that you could buy, which now, just a few years later, or 10 years later, what have you, is now end of life, no longer supported by Apple, so it doesn't get software updates, it's gonna be slow, the battery life will be awful. I don't think it makes any sense to spend that sort of money on a smartwatch. A timeless watch, like a Rolex or something, sure, they hold their value, they don't get worse over time, but just not an Apple Watch. So the options, my options, are the Series 10 or of course the Apple Watch Ultra 2, which this year comes in the two colors. So there's the natural titanium or the new black edition that I've got here, the black titanium. And this year, if you opted for the 46mm titanium Series 10 watch, you're almost at the Apple Watch Ultra territory already. But what do you get for anywhere from, double the cost of a Series 10 to an extra like $50 to go from the titanium Series 10 to the Ultra 2? Well, you go from a 42 or 46mm case to a larger 49mm case that's now made out of titanium. Those 2,000 nits on the Series 10 now increases to 3,000 nits, which is the brightest that I've seen on any smartwatch. Now it is great, it's noticeable, but I've never honestly struggled with a watch at 2,000 nits outside anyway. Now you also get a siren, which can be used in emergencies, which I've never used in my life. The Ultra is also more of a diving watch, so it's okay for diving up to 40 meters deep, so more recreational than like pro diving, but it's also okay for high-speed water sports. Again, not something I much use, and considering you can cover all of these watches with the Apple Care Plus, which includes accidental damage, there's kind of even less to worry about damaging your watch. Now the Ultra also has dual GPS, so if you do outdoor sports like running, it'll be much more accurate when tracking those runs, particularly in like built up areas like New York City. And the big upgrade, of course, with the Ultra is the battery life, which now runs up to 36 hours instead of just 18 on the SE or the Series 10. And my experience with these watches has been pretty similar, but the Ultra has been going far longer than I thought it would. Like the Series 10 definitely needs charging at the end of each day, same with the SE. But the Ultra 2, I've had go through to a third day before it needs to charge to then last, the full day again. So in my experience, that means you can use the Ultra for up to 3 straight days without needing to charge. And if you want to use LTE, then of course, with the Ultra, this can last for way, way longer than the SE or the Series 10. Like you can pretty much get a full day out of this thing, like maybe not a full 24 hours on pure LTE, but definitely 18 hours, but above that plus is also so achievable with the Ultra. Now I actually just made a video about using just my Watch Ultra for a full day, including like workouts and navigation and Apple Pay, even using the Bluetooth on here to get into my car. So I'll link that somewhere up here or down in the video description if you want to check that out. But it is easy enough for you to forget your phone at home, go to work, then come back after work without running out of any battery life. Now other minor features you get on the Ultra over either the SE or the Series 10. Automatic night mode, which switches your watch face to a nice red color, so it's both easier to read at night and doesn't light up the rest of the room. The action button, which also lets you start a workout or open an app. You also get dual speakers and 3 mics over a single speaker and single mic. Although from my testing, there's not really a huge difference in audio quality when using both of these watches for audio calls. The Apple Watch Ultra also comes with LTE as standard. You can't buy one without LTE, whereas you do have to choose that as an option on the base series S10, unless you go for that titanium version, which again, just bumps the price up. So if any of those features are enticing to you, then the Ultra is basically, the only option because that's the only one they sell. Whether those features are worth double the cost of a smaller Series 10 though, it's really down to you individually, but I'm seeing a lot of people this year go to a larger Series 10 because the screen is practically the same size as the Ultra 2, or you do lose one line of text going from a Ultra down to a Series 10. But for me personally, like if I didn't have a job as a tech reviewer, I would go with the smaller Series 10 with LTE. Well, I say I would do. I did. I bought, this is literally the one I bought. Now I use it to track my sleep. I do the gym every morning, sauna, shower, I go to the office, and then I can put my watch on charge for like 30 minutes just to top it back up again. Like I've not once needed a siren, but again, I'm not climbing mountains. I don't really run outside much at all. Most of it is just doing weights, doing cardio. I don't dive. The only thing that would make me want to upgrade is the better battery life when only on LTE. But is that worth the extra price over a Series 10? I don't think so. So those are the watches. But what about the other and to some, arguably more important decision, the choice of straps, because there are a lot of Apple Watch straps that they offer. And as someone who has owned Apple Watches for many, many years now, I have collected a fair few watch straps. And for this video, I actually went to my local Apple store to try and buy all of the missing styles that I didn't yet own, only to find out they literally had like 0 stock. Apparently watch straps are like quite a thing this year. But I am going to run you through the different watch bands that you can buy from Apple, including the ones I've got here, as well as some of my favorite third-party bands as well that might save you a bit of money. And going in order of their website, starting with the Sport Loop. Now this is a great band for just everyday wear, including fitness. I'm a big fan of bright orange things, if you can't tell already. So this one is one that I've used for quite a few years now. It also uses Velcro, so it means you can quickly, easily adjust it to exactly the right fit for you. The downside though, is that it absorbs water like nothing else. So when I'm at the gym, I have a shower, then I jump in my car. I tend to rest my wrist on my lap whilst I'm driving. And then I get like a massive wet patch that makes me look like I had an accident in the car. And then we have the Alpine Loop, which is another favorite of mine, but does have a problem. Now this has this hook and loop system, so you can make sure you always hook it into the right one each time and gets a nice secure fit. It does suffer from the same problem as the Sport Loop though, with absorbing water, and also has this issue. When you take the watch strap off, this little clasp at the top can then rub against the top of the Apple Watch and then obviously rubs off the paintwork. So just be very, very careful of that. We also have the Trail Loop, which is very, very similar to the Sport Loop, but from what I can see, it's just made of tougher material. Now, the closest thing I have to it is really one of these Nike Sport Loops, but it's it's very, very, very similar to that. It's just made from a slightly nicer material from what I've seen here. The Ocean Band is one that unfortunately I had on my Apple Watch Ultra Series 2 last year, but I literally just sold it, so I can't show that to you. But I do have one from another brand that's very, very close to it. Now these ones are really nice for the gym, like general fitness and especially swimming, because the material doesn't absorb water, so dries instantly. It also has ridges in the band to allow things like sweats and just air to pass through, so it keeps your wrist much cooler. And uses kind of like a traditional clasp to close this. This is obviously a different one because it's a third-party band. And this is, I think, the closest I own to the actual official one, because like I said, I sold mine. But you just pop this on over here and you tuck the band into the inside. And this is from a brand called Casetify that costs like half the price of the official one. So again, this is like a reason to look at third-party watch straps and cases and all sorts instead of the official one. And then we have the new black titanium Milanese loop, which I also picked up this year for my black Apple Watch Ultra 2. That's like a mouthful to keep saying that. And I was really surprised with how this band feels and looks and everything. It is way, way lighter than I first thought. It's made up of this kind of mesh-like material. It looks really smart. It fits great with the black finishes across the black Apple Watch Ultra 2. It dries quickly. I've actually been using this one at the gym for the last couple of weeks or so. And I actually like the buckle design. It lets you basically lock it in place so you can always make sure you're, doing the watch up to the same kind of position each time you wear it. The only thing that bugs me with this watch, and this is being really picky, is where the watch band folds over in the corner here, but it leaves this little gap, which just is not as it's not as flat. And again, this is me being really picky here, but literally that aside, it is very, very nice. However, it is also $199 dollars and pounds, so yeah, pretty pricey. Now next is the braided Solo Loop, and this is one I've actually been wanting for a very long time. So I picked this up on my Apple Watch SE, and it is really nice. I love you just literally slip it over your wrist and it's on. Just be sure you get the sizing kit right. So I use the sizing kit from Apple, which you print at home and you kind of wrap around your wrist, which said I was in between a size 5 and a size 6, and it told me that I should be going down to a size 5 instead. But I think I should have gone for the size 6 because it does feel very, very snug, and I think a size 6 would have maybe worked a lot better. So just lesson learned for next time. Now next is the new Milanese loops, which I couldn't buy because they didn't have any in stock, but I imagine they are fairly similar to the titanium Milanese loops that I have here, but it uses magnets to hold the strap in place instead of a buckle. Then there is the Link bracelet. Now, the official Apple Link bracelet is something like £349 or so, which is excessively expensive for what it is, considering this one is, again, from Casetify. This isn't a promotion or anything. It's just they sent one to me ages ago and I've kept it and used it. And this basically, to me, looks the same as the Apple one, but this is stainless steel. But it makes things look so much nicer, and this is £90 compared to $349. And I've worn this with my previous Apple Watch Ultra in the natural finish, and my wife didn't even realize I was wearing an Apple Watch because just when you're holding it that way around, it just looks like you're wearing more of a classic watch. So I would definitely consider something like this instead. And then you've also got the the standard sport band, which I feel like everyone has a watch band like this. Now these are great just all-around bands, but I'm not a fan of how you secure them. You have to like kind of push them in and then tuck them underneath your wrist, which just doesn't feel very comfortable compared to the like Velcro straps. But then again, they don't hold water like the Velcro straps do. So these are like great all-arounds, just, you know, shower, they dry really quickly, that kind of thing. Next up, we have the new magnetic link and modern buckle bands, which I tried to buy, but again, they had no stock. Now, unfortunately, I can't really give you an experience of these, but they are made out of the Apple fine woven material, which, if you don't know, they basically made all their iPhone cases from fine woven last year and then discontinued them because they really didn't wear well over time. So personally, I would avoid anything fine woven for Apple. Then there's also the Nike sport bands, which are the same as the kind of standard sport bands, just with loads of holes in them for like air and sweat and stuff. Now I do have a white one somewhere. I've just lost it, so no idea where that's gone. Also the Nike sport band, which I've already mentioned. The Solo loop is kind of like a mixture between their kind of this rubbery standard band and the braided Solo loop. So they'll, you know, fit on, dry really quickly, but they're not gonna be as stretchy as, you know, the braided Solo loop to put on. But again, couldn't get one of those either. And that is all of the official Apple Watch straps, except for, again, the range of Hermès or Hermès, whatever we call it, I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. How do you pronounce Hermès? Because it's Hermès. Because I don't personally know anyone with like £400 to spend on an Apple Watch band, like especially not an Apple Watch band. So there are a few options out there that are like excessively expensive. But I will also say that Bandwork, and this isn't because they're sponsoring us, the sponsor of this video also have a really nice selection of Apple Watch bands that they sent out like a year ago or so. Now I actually have the black stainless steel band from last year, which whilst it doesn't match exactly the finish on the Apple Watch Ultra, because it's like more of a matte finish on the Ultra, it still looks really, really smart. They also sent out their new, which, wow, that's actually a lot lighter, blimey. This is their new G1T titanium band, making sure I say that right, which does actually match the finish better. It's a much closer match. It's also like, I love the orange accent. This is like me all over, like having a little bit of orange on it. This is like really, really light, like really, really nice, like premium quality band. And I just love swapping out these, you know, these sporty kind of watch straps for these more like classic watch bands for when you want to, you know, dress up smart. And I also have a ton of their leather watch bands as well, which I still love. So that's an option if you like more traditional leather straps and buckles instead of all these, you know, modern kind of takes on watch straps, rather than buying all directly from Apple. Now the question of whether it's worth upgrading from an older version can be a little bit trickier. Like at this stage, Apple Watches are so good, even older generation Apple Watches, that unless you like really, really need to upgrade because of the battery life, then you don't really get much more from each of these like smaller incremental updates each year. And you could argue that it's better to just pay Apple to replace the battery. But I think that if you're gonna spend money on something that's, you know, that old, like a Series 7 or something, then it's better to put it towards a newer watch that's faster, has all the updated features, and will be supported by Apple for a much longer time than that much older watch. Otherwise, you are literally just spending money to replace the battery to get what, maybe like an extra year out of it. And then you've got to go and buy a watch anyway. And then you're kind of spending double because you've got to buy the battery and then buy the watch. And it's just, I'm very much a fan of spending more now to save more later on than just, you know, spending double. So yeah, if you are happy with the speed, the battery and the features of your current Apple Watch, there is no reason to upgrade to one of the newer models right now, unless there's like a specific feature that you really, really want. Like they all broadly do the same things. You know, they can text, tell the time, show notifications, calls, Apple Pay, and unless you want the latest generation features, the health and fitness tracking, the brighter displays, the better battery life, unless you want some of those, then you're probably okay with the watch you've already got on. And if you've got your Apple Watch, then check out this video around getting the most out of your watch, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, bye-bye.